Hey YouTubers, Flat Earth believers, globers, subscribers of my channel. Thanks for visiting this YouTube video again. I hope you like it. Have fun.
NASA or liar like Deceive McCrae, and you'll get told it is 100% fact. It is as true can be. Well, I shall disprove this at once and show how a presupposition, dogmatic faith can make their religious beliefs seem true when they are anything but that. So, we've been told that the sun is 93 million miles away. How do we know this? Well, let's begin with some facts. What do we know about the sun? Well, it emits light. What else? Well, the rest is a lot like the idea of Santa delivering gifts to every child on Christmas Eve.
Oh my universe, Jer, is that all you know from the sun, or about the sun, or of the sun? Let's see what we know from the sun. And this is just a small, short extract of what we know. So, basically by saying the only thing you know is that it emits light, makes you, or is a declaration of your incompetence to even have an opinion about the sun. Very few people I know only know that the sun emits light. Sorry, you're just incompetent, and I will show that in the rest of this video.
Even little children think it sounds crazy, but because authority figures are the ones telling them the story, and they don't know any better, and while cookies are eaten in the morning, it becomes believable to most children. So much the same, the ideas of the distance to the sun come with the same nuggets. You and I might not know any better, so we look to the authorities for the truth. So we are told that it's 93 million miles, and with that comes some eating cookies in the morning. They have filled our knowledge gap with their own cleverly constructed explanations of what we see, and then all we can see is what looks like beautifully wrapped presents, and then we find some cookie crumbs as evidence of their fictional Santa Claus.
One way they do this is with the idea of angular size. So, back to our facts. The sun emits light. Anything else that we know about the sun? Sure, we know its angular size or its apparent diameter. This is the apparent size or angular diameter of a sky item. How large something appears in our eye or telescope. The sun and moon both appear to be about 31 or 32 arc minutes, or that's equal to 1/2 degree.
So I want to point out something that I certainly wasn't taught in school, and it's no wonder why. Scaling invariance. Feel free to look it up on Wikipedia, and you'll see that in physics, mathematics, statistics, and economics, scale invariance is a feature of objects or laws that do not change if scales of length, energy, or other variables are multiplied by a common factor.
Oh my universe, he didn't, or he wasn't taught scaling at school? When did you drop out, man? When you were like 6, 7 years old? In my country, between 10 and 12, you learn to scale. And you learn how to scale maps, etc. and understand scaling. And certainly at your 13th or 14th year, you know everything about scaling. So the fact that you weren't taught means you probably dropped out, and that explains your stupidity.
As long as all of your inputs are scaled correctly, the entire body is indifferent. It doesn't vary. One of those things, the entire solar system model. But wait, the mathematics of the solar system is facts. Indisputable fact, right? Well, not when the entire models are based off of angular size, because angular size tells us what size something is in our eye, not its true distance or its true size.
Let me explain. So, the angular size of the sun and moon is approximately 31 or 32 arc minutes, which equals 0.53 degrees. Now, that does work for a sun 93 million miles away and 864,337 miles wide. But it also works for a sun 229 million miles away and 2 million miles wide. Wait, what are you saying? The sun would look way bigger in the sky. No, it wouldn't. It would look the same as if it was 93 million, or if it was 46,701,000 miles away and 432,000 miles wide, which is no different than a sun 3,026,900 miles away and 28,000 miles wide, which is just the same as a sun 1.5 million miles away and 14,000 miles wide.
Heaven forbid, 3,500 miles away and 32 miles in diameter. It makes no difference.
Yes, it does, idiot. Because your whole angular size story is when the sun is 3,500 miles away of evidence of a globe Earth. A sun 39 or 93 million miles away doesn't change its size while moving around the globe if you want to have a globe that doesn't move. But a sun over a flat plane 3,500 miles away will shrink half its size every 2 hours from noon up to sunset. That means during sunset it should be less than 20% of what it is during noon, and as this time-lapse video of the sun shows, it remains the same size. Ergo, it proves the globe.
Now, some things could help us determine which distance was more likely to be correct. For example, the inverse square law of light that says that given a certain brightness or intensity, it is inversely proportional to the square of the distance. So if we know how bright the moon is, each time we half our distance, the brightness increases by 4 times. So you see, we can say the moon is 100 lumens, and it doesn't really matter which number we place on there, as the result will be the same. So at 240,000 miles, we have 100 lumens. At 120,000 miles, we have 400 lumens. At 60,000, we have 1,600 lumens. Until we get down to 1,000 miles distance, when we're 1,000 miles away from the moon, the lumens should be 6,553,000. So if we divide that by the original 100, we see that from 1,000 miles away, the moon would be 65,530 times brighter than it is from Earth.
So I would say no, Jer. It's not a big deal, but basically you're a bit sloppy. This here is wrong, that value. See, this is a factor 2, and that means that I here have a factor 2 to the power of 2 equals 4. And let's say from the 30 to there, that is a factor of 8. So from here to up there is 8 to the power of 2 is 64. And then of course the hundreds. So what is this from here to there? That is a factor of 240. And 240 to the power of 2 is, and let's just do it the way that everybody can see, is 240 to the power of is 57. 57, etc. So that is basically 800,000 wrong. Again, it doesn't really matter much, but if you want to do math, please do it accurate, because you can create all kinds of errors and cause a lot of confusion and come to wrong conclusions. Lumens is a physical unit that expresses how much light a object emits. Like when you take a light bulb and it gives like let's say 1200 lumens, then it doesn't matter if you are 10 meters away, it will still emit 1200 lumens. If it is 10,000 meters away, it will still emit 1200 lumens. The amount of lumens it emits is independent of the distance it has. What you probably have been looking for is not lumens but lux, or the amount of light energy per square meter. Watts per square meter. So lux would be better, and then take away the other error and you are good to go.
Is that what we saw? Well, here's some photos from Apollo 17 from 800 miles from the moon. And you tell me, is that moon 65,530 times as bright as it is from Earth? Of course not. So, one thing or the other.
So, actually this is a fallacy. Whole thing he tries to present here is that by getting closer to the moon, it should become so much brighter that we shouldn't be able to see it anymore. Except for the 800,000 factor 800,000, he's wrong. He's also wrong with a number of other things. First of all, how our eye perceives light, and what is instead of lumens, you should talk about lux. What does lux do, and what is the range the eye can already handle? Now, in full daylight, not in direct sun, what we have is approximately 10,000 to 25,000 lux. And on an overcast day, it is already much less. It's only 1000. In an office, the lighting would be 500. Of course, you feel that it is less bright inside in the office than when you were outside on in a normal daylight. But it is not that your eye is getting problems that you can't see things anymore. Actually, you can go to a night where it's full moon and it's clear and you're outside, and then you will have like 0.3 or even less lux. And on a moonless clear sky, it is 0.002. Now the difference from 0.002 to the full daylight of 25,000 already gives us a huge scale in which the eye can still distinguish details, etc. But next to that, we also have cameras, and the cameras are used to make pictures of the moon. And recently, when trying to photograph the blood moon, I needed to get my camera to 2000 ASA to be able to get enough light. So on the camera we have the ISO value or the ASA value, and we have aperture, and we have exposure time. Now if you look at the aperture, the values you will find on cameras, especially if you have a good lens, it will be 1.4 to 2.8, etc., up to 32, and this range is already capable of covering your let's say 65,000 lumens all the way to the 1600 lumens. Now then I can play around with my ISO value, and also there you make these kinds of steps. You have an ISO value when something is very bright, you go back to, let's say, 64, and when it is much darker, you put your ISO value to 1600 or 2000. And then we can still play with the time. So do I expose when I'm looking at the moon far away with only 100 lumens? Do I expose during a second? Or when I'm very close, do I expose with a 200th of a second? If you now add all these factors up, you get a range that is beyond millions. And therefore the range is much bigger than what you try to explain. And within that range, by adapting aperture, ISO value and exposure time, I can have on the whole range you discuss here, I can have a perceived same brightness of the moon. And there, with that, your whole story goes down the drain. It is what you could call a fallacy, or a straw man even.
Isn't true. Either we've never been to the moon, or the moon is far closer. What can't be true is the moon is the distance that they tell us, and that man has been there. Now, wait a minute, you yell. Wouldn't the planets have to change as well? Well, of course. Their orbits, sizes, and distance would all be scaled appropriately. Here's an easy way to see it in action. Take these numbers 0, 3, 6, and start doubling. 12, 24, 56, 108. Okay, now add 4 to each. So 0 becomes 4, 3 becomes 7, 12 becomes 16, 24 becomes 28, 56 becomes 60, and 108 becomes 112. 12 becomes 16, 24 becomes 28, 56 becomes 60, and 108 becomes 112. Now divide by 10. So 4 becomes 0.4, 7 becomes 0.7, 10 becomes 1.0, 16 becomes 1.6, 28 becomes 2.8, 60 becomes 6.0, and 111 or 112 becomes 11.2. Now, does that look familiar? Well, it should. 0.4 is Mercury's AU, 0.7 is Venus, 1.0 is Earth, 1.6 is Mars, 2.8 is Ceres, 6.0 is Jupiter, and 11.2 is Saturn. Now, of course, those are approximate numbers as they change based on their distance from the sun, which is changing all the time. So now you have the distances from the sun, 93 million miles times the AU. So Mercury is 37.2 million, Venus. So scale it all by 1/26,072nd, or I'm not really sure. Then you can even figure out the distance from the Earth. So Mercury is 2,147 miles, Venus is 997, Mars is 1,304, all miles from Earth. Now wait, wouldn't they need to be smaller? And, well, of course, scaling invariance. So Mercury is actually 2,147 miles away, and with its angular size, it would come out to 0.11 miles, so that would be 603 feet in diameter.
Yes, Jeranism. We know. And now you can continue and saying, okay, and we can also scale down the mass and everything. Yes, but all you have done so far is you have scaled down the globe model with the planets circling around it, and then this all works because scaling works. Nobody is saying to you that scaling doesn't work. You make the big fuck up mistake that you think we only know the angular size of the sun, and that somehow from that we derived this distance. No, in the answering video of Reds Rhetoric using a cool hard logic video, he will simply debunk you and show you how we can measure that. What I've tried to show you here is that you use a sort of standard and continuous line of repetition as if your audience consists of pure idiots, because every step, like I double from 2 to 4 and then we double from 4 to 8, as if nobody understands that. And then you start to do the same with all the planets. I've showed that you manipulate the figures to finally come to AU distances. Why not simply start with that, you know, and then say I scale it down? But still, scaling down brings you to a globe model with everything circling around the sun and the way they then move, and then you can make it small or whatever. But now the big mistake you make is the Earth is somewhere in between all these moving planets, and you cannot simply flatten it and then project it, all these planets above one of the planets, which is the flattened Earth. Because then you get into the problems I've mentioned before. If you have a so many feet big, 900 mile high Mercury that is going around, that little thing will have to rush, and its angular size will simply every hour become, because it's moving then, it's around Capricorn it would be moving with 2,500 miles per hour. It's 900 miles away according to your calculations. So every hour it is more than twice the distance away from when it was just straight ahead of you, above you. And that means it gets smaller very fast. And we don't see that. We don't see that with any planet. We don't see that with the sun. We don't see it with the moon. And that basically already debunks your whole story. Now then you can start acting as if Cavendish is nonsense. You have no proof for that. We have shown, and many people have shown, that the Cavendish experiment simply works, and you can even do it at home. So that is bullshit. You start to insult Reds Rhetoric, and you have no chance there as well, as he simply shows you how to calculate the distance. So all in all, Jeranism, please stop this nonsense. I know you want to make money of gullible Christian people. I think that is not correct. These people are already suffering enough because they have faith in something that never existed. And then you start feeding them with shit. You make errors on purpose. You don't understand light. You don't understand how light behaves. You don't understand the consequences of what you then tell. It's easy to say, well, we scale it down, but the consequence is that they fly by and the angular size of them change so fast. So all in all, you make a big mistake here. And being an arrogant dick toward Reds Rhetoric or any other glober is just silly. You are the one that is confused, that is talking from some religious belief, searching for God, or what did they say at the Flat Earth convention? They are hiding God from us. Sorry, that's not the case. If there is a God, then he created a magnificent universe with moving planets around the sun. So, YouTubers, my friends, my subscribers, you have seen again that Flat Earthers go to any length to cheat, fraud, change figures. And although the overall story behind about scaling is correct, he's still abusing it in a scandalous way. Thank you all.